Lindsay, that was beautiful, but you made me cry.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
You made me laugh and cry at the same time because that was really cute how you, but at the same time, God, do I miss hugging? And I'm going to be very weepy today because this is our Christmas service and there aren't people here. And normally we have a whole room full of people. And so there are, there's a couple of them, but it's not the same, and yet we'll make it work because we remember our favorite things. And one of mine and Lindsay's favorite things to do is to tell stupid jokes because we're a little bit awkward, and it kind of adjusts the energy. So, Lindsay, I have a little pun for you. I'm not sure if it's a pun or a joke. Don't really know the difference. But you ready for it?
I'm so ready.
Okay. So what do you call a group of snowmen?
A group of snowmen. A melting pot?
A
Oh, I guess that'd
snowball.
only be if the sun came out.
A snowball.
Oh, gosh. Okay, I
Do
have
you
one
have
for
one
you.
for me?
I have one for you. Okay. So, why did the salad blush?
Why did
I'm sorry, I got it wrong. Why did the tomato blush?
Why did the tomato?
Let me get that very awkward delivery one more time. Why did the tomato blush?
Why the tomato blush? Something about a salad?
You saw the salad dressing.
Oh, it's not a salad dressing. Oh. Okay, I have one more. Okay. Why did Santa put a clock in his sleigh? If you wonder why I look this way, it's because I can see Lindsay on the TV.
I'm not sure.
Because he wanted to see time fly.
Oh man. That's a good one. That's a good one. Okay, I have one more for you.
Okay.
What did the parent, that was a buffalo, say when he put his son on the bus?
What did the buffalo say when he put the son on the bus?
Put his son on the bus, correct.
Don't let anybody bully you or something like that?
Bye, son.
I'm sorry, that's so... I think there's...
I think you're punderful, Reverend Nicole.
I think you're wonderful too. Okay. I hope that made you laugh, at least how nerdy we are around here. We do accept all kinds of people here. So, yes, we are a loving spiritual community who accepts all, even weird ministers and music directors. Anyway, one of the things that I thought, I think when I think about the holidays, I think about music because even my country station plays nothing but Christmas music from like October on, right? But I've learned not to listen to any of it until December 1st, or else I get really like over it. Sometimes in July I get a hankering for it, but anyway. So I was thinking about what is my favorite Christmas song, and there are a lot. Baby It's Cold Outside is one of my all-time favorites. I don't know why, it's just cute. But I wanted to share with you a song that really actually transformed my life, and it's a song, Oh Holy Night. And I don't know if you have studied or researched the history behind that song. Don't do it right now. Do not go on your Google on your phone and do that right now. Just listen. There was this time in my life, I'll just share personal experience first before I tell you more about it, when it was about 10 years ago. My brother was taken by suicide. The person I thought I was going to spend the rest of my life with was killed. I was heavily drinking and just got sober. So I've got a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. I just moved to California, and thank God, just a couple blocks away is a Center for Spiritual Living, which I, by the way, had not attended in years. Growing up in this philosophy, I thought I needed to find my own way. Well, I find my way back home. But so here I am. I'm not teaching. I am taking a foundations class, my first foundations class. And I'm sitting in my bedroom on the edge of my bed, and I'm trying to understand the spiritual principles. I'm trying to understand this idea that I'm good, even though I felt anything but good. I was trying to understand that there was some divine light or intelligence that was within me, even though I felt nothing but despair and hopeless and like I had failed at everything. And then the song comes on, "Oh Holy Night." And there's this part where he says, "Fall on your knees, oh hear the angels singing, oh night divine." And I literally slid onto the ground and just sobbed, because I realized that this dark night of the soul that I was having for 26 years, it seemed, wasn't who I am. It was just an experience I was having. And all month we've been talking about this moving from darkness to light. And what I had realized in that night divine, that oh holy night, was that sometimes, seemed to me for most of my life, most times, the expression or feeling or revelation of goodness or truth or life or God has only ever really gotten through to me when I've been in those dark nights of the soul of my spirit. and it doesn't have to be that way. It just so happened to be that way for me for a while. And so it's always held a special place in my heart, because growing up in this philosophy, I've studied different religions, different philosophies, different spiritual teachers, but none of them were particularly more meaningful than another, right? Buddha and Jesus had equal way, and it still do. And yet I had this thing that happened to me when I'm on the floor with what Oprah calls the ugly cry, and all of a sudden I see Jesus, and I'm like, what is the point? Should I even be here? And I was at that point of, should I even be here? And this thing happens where he goes like this, and I don't know, my idea of Jesus is that he wears a robe. And so he goes like this, and he shows, and I look, and there's nothing but light. And he said, that's your future. That's who you are. And so from that moment on, whenever I feel this overwhelming sense of, well, it's this like a depression, like a black cloud that doesn't want to move, doesn't want to shift away, I remember that no matter where I am at that moment, there is that light. And what I know to be true is that light is not just for me. That future, that path, I keep going this way because he did that, is not just for my life. It's every one of our lives. And so I live for those people who didn't get to experience that. And I want to share with you now this history of this song, because it makes so much sense. It was a divinely inspired song by the most unlikely of people. So back in 1837, I believe it was. Yes, because it was before the Second World War. There was this little village in France, and the priest, he had this, he like we all do, he starts contemplating, what is my Christmas Eve service going to be like? How am I going to inspire them? How am I going to remind people? And all of us ministers do this because it's very important to us. And so he says, oh, I know, I remember. And he had this young childhood friend who was a poet, but he also just happened to be an atheist and a drunk. So that works. And he asked him, he said, you are a beautiful poet. Will you please write a poem for my Christmas Eve service? And they were childhood friends from going to Catholic school together. And so this atheist drunken poet, he's in this stagecoach, and he's on a journey, and he's trying to write this poem. So he's reading Luke chapter 2, and he's trying to feel inspired by it and trying to understand it again in a new way, in a fresh way. And so he writes this beautiful poem. But then he realizes that this poem is not enough. This poem needs music behind it. And so he thinks and he thinks and he thinks and he thinks, and who could compose music to go with this poem? And then he thinks about one of his close friends who is a Jewish composer. And so he goes to him and he says, listen, I know, I get it. I know that you don't celebrate Christmas. I know I'm an atheist, for goodness sakes. But will you please compose music to go with this poem to create a song? And so inspired by the words, this Jewish composer, he composed the music that goes behind the lyrics to O Holy Night. And so across the land, it was just a hit. They played it on Christmas Eve, and all of the French men and women and children, they learned it, and for years they were able to sing it. Until the friend, the atheist poet drunk, decided to go and be a part of the socialist movement. And then somehow the Catholic priest found out that it was a Jewish composer who wrote the music behind it, and so he banned it in France. He banned O Holy Night in France. And yet people continued to sing it because it was so inspiring. And then along comes a Unitarian minister who got his Doctor of Divinity at, I believe, Harvard. And he he loved to find music that was universal. And he at that time was an active and avid abolitionist. And he loved the part that said, chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother. And he knew that he had to have his church sing this song. And so in America, they began to sing it. And across the land, it became one of the most important songs at that time. And then in 1908, I believe it was, you can fact check me in a minute, I can't really remember. I believe it was 1908. Something really magical happened. Something really, really magical. The chemist for Thomas Jefferson was able to go on the airwaves, and this had never happened before, and he recited Luke chapter 2. And then he picked up his violin, and he began to sing O Holy Night. And on ships and across the land where they had not heard anything through these radio waves before, all of a sudden this song comes on. And they believe that it was divinely inspired, because how are they hearing this music all over, right? And so I find it so comforting, so fascinating, and so inspiring that it took a Catholic priest, a drunken poetic atheist, and a Jewish composer, not to mention a chemist and a Unitarian minister, to to bring together this most beloved and inspiring song. And so I just wanted to talk for a moment about some of the metaphysical meanings, some of the metaphysical ideas of this song. We have, "O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth." And in metaphysics, what we know is that everything begins as a spiritual idea, and then it takes form. And in the Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, which is pretty big, if you have this, that's great. If you don't, I urge you to get it. When we define Christ in Metaphysical Bible Dictionary, it says that Christ is the divine idea of humankind. That Jesus is just the name that represents an individual expression of the Christ idea. He was the form in name that is commonly applied to the man of Galilee, but Christ is the only idea. It is the highest exalted idea of every one of us. And so in this holy night of every one of us, or this year, this 2020, of a darkness, of light, of a night, I feel like it is the dark night of a collective soul that is ready to emerge in that Christ idea. That we are in the midst of a spiritual awakening, a spiritual revolution, because we have been given the time, whether we wanted it or not, to look at our own thoughts and our own ideas and our own beliefs, and we are forced day after day to deal with them, to heal them. And then we have, "Long lay the world in sin and error, pining till he appeared, and the soul felt its worth." Now remember, the idea of Mary and this Immaculate Conception is an idea that has been in the consciousness of humanity since long before this man Jesus was ever born. There have been many, many ideas, concepts, metaphors, symbolisms, and what some may call reality or physical experiences of Immaculate Conceptions. But our Immaculate Conception is that somehow we have been given a greater idea for ourselves, for our lives, and that we must hold that. We must allow ourselves to be impregnated with this idea of who we are, and not cast our pearls before swine, not share it with anyone who's going to be a downer, who's going to have a negative thought about it, until we, like myself in that room, or Mary in a barn, are on our hands and knees in the dirt with the creatures around us, giving birth to this great idea of life within us. Browning says that there's a spark, there's a flame, there is that flicker of life that might be diminished but could never, ever be extinguished. It can never be extinguished no matter what we think or feel in this moment. "And chains shall we break, for the slave is our brother, and in his name all oppressions shall cease." The slave is us. It is the bondage. It is the false beliefs. It is the chains that we have allowed ourselves to buy into that says that we're not enough, that we're not good enough, that we don't look right, that we don't think like everyone else, that we are a failure, that we haven't done well. Because let me tell you one thing that I always tell my children: the only success that you will ever experience in life, the only meaning, the only purpose to any of this is to fully live, is to fully be alive, to love, to be kind, and to experience this, because in this philosophy, unlike many others, we don't tell you what happens after this life. It may be the only one. There may be a million more. We don't know. But we are here today to be alive and fully live. And whether we have to do that separately at home by ourselves right now, maybe it's for the better. Maybe it gives us time to birth that Christ light within us, that divine idea of who we were meant to be, not who we as children, our parents pushed and imposed on us, not we who as young adults tried to buy into what everybody else was doing, not we as adults who have tried to follow what society says, what the government says, what your minister might say. For goodness sake, do not listen to me. Think for yourself. Feel within your heart what is right and good and true for you. And that is the greatest gift that Christmas could ever bring us. And I want to share with you a quote by Dr. Ernest Holmes. He says that Christmas is the most glorious tradition on the face of the earth, but we must bring it to earth. What good is it to merely enjoy or think about somebody's birth from 2,000 plus years ago if we aren't going to bring it to earth, to bring it alive here and now today? And so what I want to invite you to do is, I've written sort of a meditation to go with this song, O Holy Night. And so I want to invite you all to just close your eyes and allow me to lead you through a meditation. Go ahead and just take a deep breath. Once again, a deep breath. And we can close our eyes. Maybe feel our feet on the ground. Maybe if we're walking, please keep your eyes open if you're walking. Janice, I know you walk your dog while you listen. Just be wherever you are right now and allow my words to be your words as we are one. O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of the Christ within me's birth. Long lay my mind in limitation and error, pining, till truth appeared and my soul felt its worth. Oh, a thrill of hope, the weary within me rejoices. For yonder breaks a new and glorious morning. Let me surrender and fall on my knees. Oh, hear the angels' voices, oh, night divine. Oh, night divine. When Christ was born, when that divine idea of myself was finally born within me, truly the beloved taught us, truly the beloved has taught us to love one another. It is the love that we share with one another. For now my law is love. For now my law is love. And my gospel is peace. Chains I will break and step out of. For the slave within me is no longer. And in my name, say this with me, in my name, all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy, sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise I. Let all within me praise God's Spirit Divine's holy name. Christ is the light. Oh, praise its light forever, its power and glory forever and ever. Amen. And so I invite us, each one of us, in our own way, in our own time, no matter how hard it might be to be alone right now, no matter how much we wish we could be with one another, know that your law is love, your gospel is kindness and peace. And the reason we do this right now is because we see each other as our brothers and sisters. I love you all very much. Merry Christmas, and I miss you. And so it is.